Here in America, we place an extremely high value on the right to free speech. It's literally the First Amendment in our Bill of Rights, which pretty much means that when our founding fathers were thinking of the most basic rights that all humans should have, the first thing that popped into their heads was that we should all be able to say whatever the fuck we want without persecution from the government. And for most of my life, I agreed with this and thought that having complete freedom of speech was essential for our society to succeed. Because if we can't say what's on our minds, how can we succeed? But then, I had an epiphany, and now, I do not agree with the First Amendment. I do not believe in free speech. You guys are probably gonna report me to Trump so he can say,
"Get him the hell out of here,"
and deport me for saying such a blasphemous and un-American statement. But before you do all that, let me paint a picture for you. Imagine one night you're just scrolling through Instagram and you come across a picture from a kid who goes to your school. In the picture, the kid is holding a gun and the caption reads, "I'm gonna shoot up the school tomorrow." If you saw this, would you still be a proponent of free speech? Cause I know I wouldn't. If I saw some shit like this, I would want that kid locked up immediately. All the kid did was post something to Instagram, which is something that lots of people do. The action in itself is just speech and it doesn't hurt anyone. But we can't just have people going around posting direct threats like this. If someone did post this, we would need to take preemptive action to ensure that they don't actually follow through with their threat. I feel that any sane person would agree with me here that threats like this should not be protected by the First Amendment. But it opens up the question, where do we draw the line? What type of speech should be protected by the First Amendment and what type of speech shouldn't? A similar example is these people who I found on Twitter known as Columbiners. And basically what they are stands of the two Columbine shooters, Dylan and Eric. Yes, you heard that correctly. There are real people out there who stand these two mass murderers like they're Ariana Grande or some shit. Eric and Dylan fan cam because why the fuck not? 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 I'll tell you why the fuck not, bro. Because these two people are literal murderers who killed innocent people. Like, that's why the fuck not. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I spent way too much time going through Eric and Dylan's stan Twitter, and it's really sad to see, but it's actually a really large community. It really pissed me off though to see tweets like, "Okay, I'll admit it, I think Dylan is absolutely beautiful and husband material. The guys in 0 Hour are ugly. Like Eric and Dylan were cute. Did them dirty. Like bruh, I'm out here struggling to get any type of pussy. And these motherfuckers have girls creaming their pants thinking about them? This is just fucking unfair. This shit really does make me ashamed to be a white person. All I know though is thank God I am done with high school. I made it out without getting shot, which is increasingly rare nowadays considering there's a new mass shooting every single day. Anyways though, getting back on track here, should the people behind these accounts go to jail for these tweets? It's hard to say because it isn't as direct of a threat as the first example. They're not outwardly saying that they're gonna harm anyone, but it still is some highly suspicious behavior. Personally, I think that what they're saying is really fucked up, but they still have the right to say it and don't deserve to go to jail for it. I still did tag the FBI, CIA, and NYPD in every one of their tweets just so they could take a look. Because like I said, this is some extremely suspicious behavior. I know that makes me a snitch and we all know what happens to snitches, but I just couldn't be a bystander to the shit that I was seeing and had to report it to the authorities. I'm curious about what you guys think though, so I'm gonna leave a poll up on screen. Do you think that these people should be straight up arrested, at the very least investigated, or simply just left alone? I'm sure there will be a large range of answers from you guys because once again, this is a case of where do we draw the line. It's another example that shows how a concept as simple as free speech has so many different intricacies. You would think that freedom of speech is a black and white issue. That it's either you can say whatever you want or you can't. But in reality, it's much more complex than that. The First Amendment explicitly states that all Americans have the right to free speech, but different people have different opinions on what free speech implies. This is what causes the many debates on what speech is and isn't protected by the First Amendment. And freedom of speech is far from the only thing that seems simple, but is actually very complex. In fact, Nothing in this world is a black or white, this or that issue. There are endless possible opinions that can be had for every single issue. This may be hard to believe, especially if you spend a lot of time watching CNN or Fox News, where they brainwash the country into thinking that there are only two sides to every issue, Democrat or Republican. They really do make it seem like you need to pick a party to belong to. But the problem with this is that not everybody fully agrees with just one party. Some people like certain aspects of the Democratic Party, while also liking certain aspects of the Republican Party. As I was saying before, each person has a variety of unique opinions on a variety of issues. No two people have the same exact opinion on every single issue. And this is where our two-party system fails us, because it forces people to vote for a candidate who they only slightly agree with, instead of a candidate who they fully agree with. And this is a huge flaw in our democracy today because it leads to people just not voting. With this year being a huge election year, you're going to start hearing everybody saying how important it is that you go out and vote to have your voice heard. And it is an important part of democracy to participate in it. But what these people fail to realize is that choosing to not vote is itself a form of voting. If you don't like either of the candidates who are running, you choosing to not vote is you saying, I reject both of these candidates. So this year, when you guys are deciding on who to vote for, be sure to fully educate yourself on the candidates and what they stand for. And if you don't fully agree with either of the candidates, don't feel ashamed for choosing to not vote. So yeah, I'm not asking that you all vote, but one thing that I do ask is that you drop a like rating and subscribe to my channel. It helps me out a lot, so I would really appreciate it. I also ask that you all go on Twitter and report these fucking fangirl school shooter accounts because can we get these bitches banned, please? Anyways though, I do hope you all did enjoy the video. Have a great day. Peace.